Hey everyone, it's Kai Correa. I'm bench coach with the San Francisco Giants. I'm excited to be back presenting at the I-70 clinic. I'm bummed that the clinic isn't happening in person, but I'm excited that we're going online and doing this presentation via Zoom, and I'm excited to take part in this year's great lineup of speakers, and I can't wait to get back out to the in-person I-70 clinic in the years to come. I think this year is about team defense and more specifically designing and teaching team defense. I'm not going to be rolling out any concepts that are necessarily new, unique, or earth-shattering. These topics have been done and covered before really well by a lot of successful coaches. More than anything else, I'm just hoping to organize some thoughts and challenge the way we as coaches are thinking about our plays, picking our plays, teaching our plays in the classroom and on the field, and then going back and reviewing those plays. And so hopefully really helping people clean up their and look at things a little bit differently. The first section of my presentation is entitled Starting with the End in Mind. And the reason why I entitled that is when you think about team defense and you think about the acceptable outcome you'd want from all those different scenarios, it really boils down to two buckets. You have situations where you really can't let the opponent score one run, right? One run is going to cost you the game. And on the flip side, you have situations where you can't let the opponent score a bunch of runs. That's going to jeopardize the game. And so those are really the two buckets. Those are really the two acceptable outcomes for almost every defensive situation. And so to further simplify that, right, you can think of every situation in one of two categories: run prevention or out acquisition, right? You're just trying to avoid having base runners. You don't want traffic. You need to get an out. You don't care if somebody scores on a play. You need to get an out. Versus no matter what, this lead runner or this batter runner can't score. And so when you think about that, you think about, let's say, situations that come across in the game. You know, the classic situation. It's the tie ball game. It's the bottom of the ninth. You're the visitor. There's a runner on second base and he cannot score. This is a classic run prevention situation. And lots of late game and close game scenarios, pitcher duel scenarios, can be bucketed into that run prevention category. On the flip side, let's say it's early game. Let's say it's mid or late game in a blowout where you're up or down by greater than 5 or greater than 7. These are classic avoid big inning situations. These are just out acquisitions scenarios where your defense, their only goal is to acquire outs and get off the field as fast as possible. And you don't really care if a run scores in that inning. And so the reason why I'm talking about this to start a team defensive session is I think sometimes we get so caught up in the mechanics of the play, and I'm going to have 5 bunt plays and 4 pick plays and this and that and all these moving parts, and we think about the rotations and the responsibilities, and we forget that big picture. And the big picture is we're trying to win games, and to win games you have to prevent runs and acquire outs. And so it's really, really important when coaching staff start the process of designing and deciding how many plays they're going to have and what plays they're going to have, whether it's first and third or bunt defenses or pick plays, that they're doing it within the context of the end in mind, the end goal. And so if I know that I'm either going to be doing run prevention or out acquisition, I can then therefore make a decision. Hey, let's talk about our bunt plays this year. Well, you know, in our conference, there's a lot of bunting. So, you know, we probably need 2 of each. We need 2 aggressive plays that help us get the lead runner and when we're in run prevention mode, and then we need 2 regular plays, you know, just that help us get into good spots and acquire and don't allow for the big inning. Or when we're thinking about bunt defense and we think about our conference or the level of play and you say, hey, there's not a lot of bunting at this level. So you know what? We don't really need that many plays. We just need 1 of each. We need 1 aggressive play that's going to help us try to get the lead runner in a really close situation, and then 1 normal bunt defense that's just going to make sure we have people at the right bases and we're going to get an out. And so it's really important to assess your different scenarios in your different conferences and your different schedules and your different levels, and then start with that end in mind and figure out how many plays you need in each one of these buckets. And then the reason why this is so important is then all you have to do is set the expectations for the 2 scenarios. You can make it clear that what run prevention means and what out acquisition means, and then you just teach the plays within the context of those priorities. Once you've decided as a staff how many plays you're going to have and what buckets they belong to, and you've made it really clear with your team that there are 2 separate acceptable outcomes for every defensive situation, the runs being prevented or base runners being prevented, then it's time to start teaching team defense. And for me, teaching team defense comes down to 3 specific categories. Category 1 is playing catch, simply taking care of the baseball. Category 2 is knowing your role, and that's just knowing the position-specific responsibilities that come with playing your position. And then category 3 is being decisive. understanding how to make decisions within the context of the score, the outs, the inning, what the scoreboard tells you, and how that will help guide your reactions to what the other team's doing. When you think about it, defenses who play catch, who know their roles, and who can make decisions, they're the most prepared to react accordingly to what happens in the game. They can think critically and they can solve problems on the fly together as a unit. Defenses who rehearse plays over and over in the same sequence are more prepared to execute a script, and they aren't necessarily prepared to react. And we have to remember that defense is a reaction. It's a reaction to what the offense is doing in the context of the score. It's not a script. It's not a screenplay. You can't say, hey, we're going to go out there and we're going to run these 3 plays in a row. That's not how baseball works. You can set a play in motion, you can decide a priority, but then from there, it's the human beings who have to make decisions. And so, like I said, for me, really 3 things that team defense comes down to. Play catch, know your position-specific responsibilities, and learn how to decide, be decisive. And so we're going to talk about building a practice plan that you're always integrating one of those 3 concepts whenever you're working on defense.